Hi, my name is Cecilia Lim. I am the CEO and co-founder of Cuento Comics, and I am truly honored to be moderating this illustrious group of writers, artists, and creators of comics and graphic novels. With the increase of popularity of manhwa, manga, and just Asian stories, I'm so excited that now we are seeing Philippine stories, Philippine narratives in comics and graphic novels. So let us start by introducing ourselves. Each of the panelists will introduce each other, and I'll go first. And what we're going to do is I'm going to ask the panelists if you guys can just give us your name, where you were born and where you currently live, the name of your comic, graphic novel, or comic series, how long you've been a writer, comic, or graphic novel creator, and last but not least, favorite Filipino dish you or your spouse cooks at home. So I'll go first. I'm Cecilia Lim, grew up in Springfield, Illinois. I currently live in West Palm Beach, Florida. And the name of our comic series, our first series, is called The Mask of Aaliyah. We've been a comic book creator for the past 5 years now, since 2018. And my favorite dish I like to cook at home is sinigang. I make it super sour. So I'm going to hand it off. Rena.
Hi everybody, my name is Rena Ayu Yang. I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Steelers! I live in Oakland, California, which is kind of the opposite of a Raider fan. I've been doing comics since forever. I've loved comics since I was a kid, but professionally, like around 2000. My latest book is The Man in the Macintosh Suit with Drawn and Quarterly. It's a detective noir story based in 1920s San Francisco, Manila town. So that was fun. And I also do autobio comics. It was collected in a book before that called Blameless on the Boogie about musicals and my love of escaping into musicals to escape reality, basically. My favorite dish, I like to cook like Filipino breakfast. So like I love cooking like garlic rice and my husband cooks a really good adobo. You're talking about things that like I can cook because like I can't cook some things. Oh wait, afritada. I make a really good afritada.
My name is Bong Redila, and my first song will be.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
High school.
I'm just trying to make a joke because my heart is so high right now. I'm so nervous. Anyway, I was born in the Philippines and I grew up in the Philippines in Pangasinan. I'm already old when I came to the U.S. We migrated in Guam way back in 1990s with my family, and my first cartoon job there was I was an editorial cartoonist in Guam. I made a lot of political enemies there. I had some death threats once in a while. So I changed my name to Pepe Kalayaan, which was my real name actually is Jose. So as you all know, Jose is Pepe. I'm gonna talk about how I got my name Jose, but it's gonna be a long story.
That is not part of the intro, Bob.
But it's so interesting.
I kind of want to hear this.
Anyway,
Someone make that up. Yeah, someone.
Yeah. Name of your comic, graphic novel, or comic series.
My graphic novel is Mulag. It's titled Mulag. It's the Mulag stands for short in Pangasinan, where I grew up. And it's a collection of short stories. It's fantastical short stories. It's actually sort of autobiographical. I just make it fantastical because my life is boring. And my favorite dish is, what's your favorite dish? I'm the cook in our household, so I'm gonna ask my wife, what's your favorite dish?
I think our daughter likes the sinigang.
Oh yeah. Well,
Another sinigang.
Battle of the South Florida sinigang.
There you go. I'm from Miami, by the way, so we survived hurricane.
All right, Waverly, you're up next.
Hey y'all, I'm Waverly. I'm the spawn of that one at the far end over there, actually.
We're part of a mother-daughter duo.
Yes, it's quite entertaining every day, if you can imagine. I am the co-founder and COO at Cuento Comics. This is our series, like my mom said, The Mask of Halia. I leave the cooking to my mom and dad. She already said sinigang's my favorite, so I will have to go Dad's lechon kawali in the air fryer. Pretty bomb. Oh, and I'm from South Florida originally, and I live in LA now.
Hello, my name is Jay Kulagayan. I was born in Union City, Pennsylvania. There's a lot of Union cities. This is the one in Pennsylvania. Now I'm representing the Midwest out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and Columbus, Ohio. My book is called MEST. It is the nickname for the Metropolitan Sewer District. That's Lilliput, main character there. And let's see, as far as writing, I was just talking about this. I started a theater company in Cincinnati called No Theater, and I was doing a lot of playwriting back then, and that was 28 years ago. As usual, producing theater destroys all your creative spirit, so I hadn't written for a long time after that. And then recently been collecting comics since I was a kid, so I wanted to create comics inspired by my daughters to try and create characters that look like them and have that on the shelf for them. So I've been doing MEST comics for probably about the last 8 years. Favorite dish? So I was told by my doctor to cut back on potatoes, bread, and rice. I was like, rice? Are you sure? So I do an amazing arroscaldo with half rice, half cauliflower rice. It works, I swear. And then rotisserie chicken, air fried a little bit so you get the crispy skin, throw that in there, and extra calamansi and extra ginger. So there you go.
Beautiful, thank you. So we're going to get right into some questions here for the panelists. As we have a water bottle. So I'm going to go from the reverse, actually. We'll start with you, Jay. Same question for each panelist. So how did you get your start in the comics or graphic novels, and what was your inspiration?
So inspiration again, my daughters. Basically, as a parent, you get to introduce the things you love to them, and in return, they reintroduce them back to you, and you realize that the things you loved growing up as a kid might not be as gender equitable, might not be as diverse as you think. So I wanted to try and diversify the entertainment they were consuming. So found like Studio Ghibli, manga, of course, but also wanted to contribute. So that's one of the reasons I created MEST Comics. And then what was the other part of the question? Sorry.
What was your inspiration?
So that was the inspiration, collecting comics since I was like 7. I think anytime you want to create something, you always want to be a comic creator, I think, if you read a lot of comics. And again, with the inspiration of my daughters, there was a sewer treatment plant near this place I was working, and I got a tour, and the ideas just started clicking. So I started writing it. We're already 4 volumes into the comic, so I'm very proud of it.
So cool.
Wait,
We
really?
aspire to get to volume 4. Absolutely. Inspiration, I am very extremely lucky that I have such a supportive mom, first and foremost. I am the last person that should have created a comic book company, to be honest. I am an actress by trade, loved performing as a kid, theater, dance, singing. As you saw, we were singing musicals earlier. And I was just so driven to move out to Los Angeles when I was a teenager, and my mom was like, absolutely not, you can't just move to LA. And I was like, okay, well, if I get a manager or an agent, like you said, then like, can we move out? And she was like, sure. So next summer, got it. And she was like, oh shoot, I really said that. And I am so lucky. My mom quit her job as a lawyer in South Florida, moved to LA with me because she wasn't going to let her young daughter live in LA alone by herself. And as I was going through the audition process, I quickly realized that the things that I was auditioning for weren't roles for young girls that looked like me. And my mom and I sat there, thought about it, said, well, we could either sit here and complain about the problem, or we can do something about it. We chose the latter. And we realized that this on-screen representation that we weren't seeing starts off the page and off the screen with writers, directors, producers, costume, lighting, hair, everyone behind the camera and behind the page to look like us, who can authentically tell our stories. And so that's how Cuento was birthed, and we found really talented Filipino-American writer out in LA, found awesome talent in the Philippines as well, and we realized that in order to tell our stories, it starts with us being the creatives at the helm of it all. Yeah.
Beautiful, thank you. Thanks for that vote of confidence, Waverly.
Good job, Mom.
Thank you, Rena. As you can see here, we have come together quite nicely. This group is really amazing, and I'm again very honored to moderate this. But let's go to you, Bong. How did you start? What was your inspiration?
Well, when I was a kid, I saw this book in our household called Koret. It's a collection of short stories from Banawag magazine. My father was a writer as well as Ilocano poems and short stories. So I always read this Koret. And when I grow up, that always comes back to me, and so that inspired me to write short stories. And in our place in Pangasinan, we don't have those DC comics and Marvel comics. We only have like, weirdly enough, we have these horror comics, foreign horror comics, like the EC comics. I'm not sure if you guys know of EC comics. That's so weird because those aren't for kids. And that's what me and my brother got. Yeah, that's what we read. And then when I was old now, I realized that what I was reading way back then was Filipino artists from those horror comics like Alex Nino and Alfredo Alcala. So that was inspiring to me. That started that. And also my grandma was a comic book addict when I was so I grew up reading all those Filipino comics like Hiwaga, Special, and all those comics. So I grew up reading Darna, Panday, and all those stuff. So I wasn't aware of Superman or Batman, although I know I've read some of them in magazines, but those comics aren't. I'm not actually familiar. So Bulag started out with all those mixed inspiration.
Thanks, Bong. And last but not least, Rena, how did you start?
Well, I was always into like Sunday funnies, like the newspaper comics, like Peanuts, Blondie, Haggard the Horrible, Nancy, and I just love the humor and the world building and the characters in that. And so I always wanted to be a cartoonist, but then you grow up and you're like, I can't be a cartoonist. They can't make any money out of cartoons. So I became an artist, which is ridiculous. You can't make money out of being an artist either. Anyway, so I was in a bookstore, Stacy's bookstore, and I was looking at the graphic novels section, and there was, among all the Marvels anthologies, was this real thin one called Sleepwalker, and it was Adrian Tamina's collection of comics from his mini comic Optic Nerve. And I read that and I was like, this is not anything I have read before in comics form. These are just slice of life, short stories, of just regular human, like just regular characters. Like also Asians were in his stories. And I was like, I need to know more about this. And so when I learned that this was from a mini comic, I started kind of connecting with the mini comic zine community here in San Francisco, Bay Area. And so I made my own mini comic. And I was very influenced by Slice of Life, Autobio, like Linda Berry, and John Porcellino, who is a really, he's a great Autobio cartoonist. He did mini comic King Cat. He has like, I think it's 85 issues now, and he's still doing it. And so I just learned from those creators that you didn't have to draw like the guys that draw Superman or like the superhero comics. You didn't have to be like funny, hokey, cartoonish. You could do your own personal style and still make comics. So that was where I got inspired from.
Beautiful. Thank you, Rena. So our next question, and I'm going to start with you, Bon. What is the biggest challenge that you faced, and how did you overcome them? Challenge in your writing and graphic novel career. What was the biggest obstacle you had in getting started and getting published? Being an award-winning book author.
Is it actually, I'm not sure when the challenges actually was getting it published. At first, this short stories I did was I'm doing it online at first. So yes, it was in a blog spot back in 2020, early 20s, 2020s. And then so I collected all of these short stories in my blog, and then Jerry Alangilan told me, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Jerry Alangilan. Jerry Alangilan is one of the known figures in comics in the Philippines. He told me you have to publish this in an actual book form. So I asked him, how am I going to do that? So I asked both Jerry Alangilan and Budget 10. Budget 10 told me to just pitch it somewhere, or maybe in the Philippines first, and then have it translated to the U.S. So luckily I met an agent in the Philippines named I forgot his name. But anyway, he's the one who pitched it to Anino Comics. So Anino Comics, interestingly enough, found it very fascinating to market. So I'm so lucky to have it published there and got some awards too, I guess.
All right. So yeah, I know there's lots of if anybody is an entrepreneur or wanting to get things published, it's definitely a journey. How about you, Waverly? What do you think our biggest challenges were?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say the entrepreneurial journey. I came from like the creative space of, I love the storytelling and finding the artists, and that was all super fun for me. But I think, like you said, the most challenging part is being an entrepreneur as a creative and, fighting tooth and nail every single day to get your work out there and on shelves. And that was an experience that both my mom and I had no experience with the publishing, printing, fulfillment, publishing, distribution, all of that. So that was a really fun learning curve. What were you going to say?
Marketing.
Marketing, oh my goodness, yes. I mean, there's so many elements after the creation of the book that your energy, needs to go towards. And so for me, I was really lucky, again, to have my mom by my side to help us through, okay, we need to license our logo and get a tax ID number and print, and there's bleed and trims on the pages, and the artwork can't go past a certain, dimension. It's just, there's so much of a learning curve. But there are so many mentors out there in the comic book space that also really helped us as well. And so I guess that's my biggest advice is always find people who have done it before you and reach out, because everyone has always been in your shoes in one point or another, and everyone always wants to lend a hand to new artists who are trying to get into the space.
Thanks, Waves. And how about you, Jay, in the Midwest? What were your challenges?
I would go twofold. Along with building the network, I think as a writer, wanted to do comics, terrible artist. So as a comic book writer, I would write the scripts, I did all the research, I had all that done, and it was a question of finding the artists. And honestly, when I first started writing Mest, I broke it down into the anthology 8-page story format first. So it was 8-page scripts. It's what Alan Moore did for Viva Vendetta. It's what a lot of the creators do with Shonen Jump. They just do like, whether it's monthly or weekly anthologies, they just do the 8-page parters. And if you can't tell a good story in 8 pages, if you can't break it down into separate chapters, it just really helps you maintain your focus. The other reason I broke it down into 8-page stories was the fact that I didn't know whether, as much as I love the artists I work with, the things happen in their life, they might not be able to do all of the stories. So, because I broke it down to 8-page, one-and-done stories that contribute to the overall mythology, world building, it could be different artists doing that. I was very fortunate that Dylan Speed, the artist I work out of with Cincinnati, was able to do the entire, has done 4 seasons and we're still going strong. So we're very lucky in that way. But I think if you're just getting started as a writer, trying to do comic book scripts, I think sometimes don't think you're going to go right into that 200-page graphic novel. Break it down maybe into smaller bites and see if there are other artists that you can just start working with on those separate chapters. The second thing I would say, we talked about distribution and trying to find an audience. The Comic-Con circuit's great. I do the anime circuit. The cryptid circuit, the Bigfoot circuit is actually pretty good too. But then just trying to diversify to find different audience. And I've had a lot of success with I was telling you about this. Yeah, I know. So it's the WetCon, and I was like, what is the WetCon? It's the Wastewater Equipment Treatment and Transport Show. It's a show. It's a 10,000 attended show in Indianapolis with plumbers and sewer workers, and it was our best show ever. We did it, and we're coming back again because just like Filipinos want to see themselves in the spotlight, so do plumbers and sewer workers. If that's a surprise.
No, that is a genius point in marketing. Always think outside the box.
Absolutely. And last but not least, Rena, what was your biggest challenge?
I think it was just basically, I think you guys were talking about distribution. I think that's always a challenge, especially with indie cartoonists. Like we work with publishers that have like a really like small marketing teams, and they try their very best, it's just hard to get that distribution and exposure like in a bigger, wider space. But I think another challenge is like, I don't know, it's very hard to do like comics. It's like drawing and writing is like I don't even know what we do. It's just like why are we doing it? But we like it's like an addiction. But I think the challenge is like it's just sort of like when you do a comic, you've done like 24 pages or 50 or whatever, and like here it is to the world, and it's like what happened, And I think that's the challenge, like with any artist, is sort of like just wondering, do people like this? Like, should I keep going? There's that whole notion of like quitting. I mean, I'm like a self-deprecated person, and so it's like, the challenge is to keep maintaining confidence in your writing and your art making, and kind of remember why you first wanted to do this, and keep having that inspiration, because this does become a job where you're like, oh, I have to do 300 pages and have a deadline, and like each page isn't like, oh, you're going to be like having the most wonderful, lovely, inspiring time making that page. You're just like, I need to get this done, or my publisher's going to like freak out and maybe not publish this. And so you kind of have to look beyond when you're doing 300 pages, like that, you have to find inspiration in other ways that, I don't know, it's obviously, it's still a thing that I'm working with. But yeah, finding inspiration and keep having confidence in your art making, especially when you're doing indie comics type stories that might not have a wide audience. Just to kind of remain true to the stories you want to tell.
Thank you, Rena. That's a perfect segue into the next question I have for our panelists. We are here at the Filipino International Book Fest, and so Filipino representation, Filipino storytelling is so important. I'm going to start with you, Waverly. How has your own personal experiences influences the story that you tell?
Oh, in so many ways. Again, as you heard, I didn't really see any roles for young girls that looked like me, and so we wanted to be a solution to that problem. At the time when we even conceptualized of Cuento Comics, I was 17, and I was taking martial arts from one of the Blue Power Rangers in North Hollywood. And this was at the wave of the Avengers at the time. And I was like, why can't there be a Filipina-American superhero? I go, Mom, where is she? Where's the character? And she's just like, the character's you, it's us. We can make that. And I go, oh, we can. And so that's exactly what the inspiration was really for The Mask of Halia, is we wanted to see a Filipina heroine at the forefront. And as we were conceptualizing the idea of the series, we stumbled upon Filipino mythology, and I'm going to take this to my mom a little bit. She was such a Greek, Roman, Norse mythology buff growing up, and as you know, we've seen that market saturated time and time again with so many stories, but how often do we get to see our own played out? I mean, our mythological creatures are so freaking scary, y'all. I mean, from the Manananggals to the Aswangs, the Capres, the Tikbalangs. I mean, there's so many in our canon that doesn't get a spotlight, and so we thought that that was just such a beautiful mixture. The mythology mixed with the element of a Filipino heroine, and our head writer found the mythos of Halia, our Bicolano lunar moon goddess, and her arch nemesis, the Bakunawa, who some of you may have heard, giant sea serpent in the Philippines. And it was such a beautiful tale. Since Halia is the lunar moon goddess, moon and feminine energy is very connected and intertwined into one, and us being an all Asian female team, it kind of just really fit like a beautiful puzzle piece. And so being able to work on this series and be in touch with my Filipino culture in a new way has been a blessing in more ways than one. And I think, and I hope that people reading this book find other new ways to be inspired by their culture and find new avenues to connect with their heritage.
Thanks, Wes. I thought you were going to mention the fact that The Mask of Halia has a lot of mother-daughter drama inside.
Oh yeah, just like us. You should see our meetings. We call each other like 7 times a day. It's like kind of ridiculous.
Thanks, Wes. And bled into your storytelling.
So, small town America, maybe 3 Filipino families in this small town, and I would say that this is back in the day when there were only 3 television channels. What? And no internet? What?
You're dating yourself, Jay.
There's like 4 radio channels or something like that. So for me, the spinner rack at the gas station had all the comics. You spun it around, or going to the library, and that was just world building and just like picking those comics. But there were no Filipinos in there. There was, I think there was Shang-Chi, and that was it. So there wasn't anyone that looked like me. But what I did realize is characters like X-Men and different things like that. I just really felt that outsider in some ways. So while I had good friends, great friends that I'm still friends with today, there is still like a part of me that just feels like on the outside. And then I started a theater company in Cincinnati. You want to be alone? That's definitely going to help. So doing theater by yourself. So I really feel like a lot of building and going from outsider to really building something around you has helped me in all of my careers in nonprofits, but also in comic books and building community, and really meeting all of you here has just been really helpful and helping me with that, and just so inspiring just to keep going, knowing that these communities exist, but are also active and want to help. You just need to ask, I think.
Thanks, Jay. How about you, Rena? And I know there's got to be a lot of personal experiences that have gone into your work.
Yeah, I mean, the Blame This on the Boogie was about, I was inspired by autobio comics, but also just inspired by the humor found in my family, and how a lot of Filipinos use humor to deal with grief and a lot of hard, intense issues. And so that was one thing, and it was kind of fun to have people find this book out and be like, oh my God, this was about me. This this was about me. I'm like, no, this was about me. And they're like, no, this was you were drawing my life. I'm like, oh. And so so it was good to see that. So, but and this latest book, The Man in Macintosh Suit, because I'm just so used to doing autobio, but I love film noir. I love watching classic Hollywood. I'm on TCM all the time. I'm going to Noir City. I just love that whole genre. But I wanted to also kind of talk about wanting to have Filipino characters and Filipinos as the lead characters. Because especially in those times, there were no Asians represented in these movies, but we existed here in America. And especially in a lot of the settings that these film noir movies were at, like San Francisco, New York, LA. And so I wanted to talk about that in this book. And so the main character, his name's Bobot, because I wanted everybody to say Bobot, and non-Filipinos to talk about this guy named Bobot, who's the lead character. And to talk about the history, I was thinking of doing it in a bubble, a bubble world. Film noir is all about bubble world. You have no clue where some of these places are. It's very stylized. It's in a set, or an RKO set. But I knew that if I was talking about Filipinos in a certain time, especially in 1920s, 30s, I wanted to talk about the history of Filipinos in America that doesn't really get taught unless you come to California and take an ethnic studies class. And so I wanted to add that into the book about migrant workers, about the Manongs in Manilatown in the 1920s. Because also, putting that from an autobio standpoint, my family came to the U.S. Their beginnings are in the 1920s in San Francisco. So I was able to hone the autobio spirit from my past work to this kind of historical fiction. This is a departure of what I usually do. And to be able to write a fiction novel that was kind of new to me in a way that I kept it into something personal that was familiar. So I did a lot of research, and I had a lot of help through the Manilatown Center in Kearney Street. And this was also the height of pandemic, so we were shut down. We couldn't go to a lot of places. I wanted to go down to Watsonville and go to a lot of the historical museums down there. But luckily, because of these ethnic studies programs, a lot of this stuff is digitized. A lot of historical documentation, a lot of the newspapers that documented all of the anti-Filipino hate that was going on that time. There's just you can see that. You can go to the digital archives and see all of the papers that have everything, even propagandists, no, exclude Filipinos. And so so I was able to do that while I was in shelter in place and write this story. So yeah.
I love that, and everybody's story here is so very different. Bong, now it's up to you. Tell us about how your personal experiences have affected your art.
I've yet to write something about my experience here in the U.S. because mostly my stories in Malacca are actually reminiscent of my experience in the Philippines. It's all my childhood experience there. and it's like actually sort of homesickness when I was writing this book. So, but I'm really, really proud of what we've accomplished here as a comic book artist. Writing our, writing history for our kids, because it's really important, especially of there's a lot of historical revisionism nowadays. There's this quote from Juan Luna once. I read he said, "It's easy to erase a nation's history through fake rumors." Historical revisionism is really bad in the Philippines, especially the current administration nowadays. But of course, there's a lot of rumors that it's easy to, it's easy to kill our history, especially of fake rumors. Like the quote that I said, that's actually made up. I just made that up. So, if you believe that easily, our history will be erased. That's just a sample.
That gave me like the dolly zoom effect, in cinema. I was like blown away just now.
Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing all that. I know that there might actually be some folks out here who are aspiring writers or artists. I wanted to ask each of the panelists, if there are creatives out there who may be listening here today or even on YouTube. I'll start with you, Jay. Any advice to creatives out there who want to do something similar, either a comic book or a graphic novel, or just to be a writer or an artist?
So I mentioned this before. I think just reasonable starts, breaking down maybe a big story into an 8-page introduction, getting an artist to link up with, and creating those shorter stories that you can maybe submit to anthologies and build. And because I think that if you hole up in an apartment and do a 200-page graphic novel by yourself and then like unleash it on the world, I think as your first work, I think it'd be better to like let it out a little bit at a time and start getting the feedback and build the connections, and then do your magnum opus kind of work kind of thing. I think Waverly said it was just really just connecting. Like I think that when I was doing theater, I had this just motto, like if you want the community to support you, you need to support the community. So like reading other people's works, going to readings, going to gallery openings, going to art exhibits, watching videos, that kind of thing online, and supporting artists that you appreciate, I think it would be good also to build your network as well. So yeah.
We love doing swaps with all of our books. It's very fun, and then you have an extremely large read list by the end of these events and conventions.
Well, you already have the mic, Wave, so any advice to creatives?
Well, I did start with the whole mentorship, but even, mentor, colleague, other friends, collaborate with, as many different people as possible. What I love personally is hearing about everyone's journey, kind of like we did here today, and taking what you will from it, because everyone's journey, no matter if you're in the same industry, same genre, it will be done a different way, because you're going to do it in a way that is unique to you. And so that's the biggest thing, is don't get caught up, oh, well, this person did it this way, because that's how I used to be. I was like, oh, well, if they did it this way and this was a success, then I have to do it this way, or this person did it this way. But you can take a blend of lots of different, like all of our experiences today, and figure out a way that, works for you. If it works for you to jump into that 200-page, then Godspeed. I don't recommend, but again, really, although you're taking advice from mentors and everyone else, do what instinctually feels right for you. I know when my mom and I were starting, we were going solely based off instinct, zero experience or rationale or logic maybe even to the decisions that we are making, but you know your story, you know who you are as a creative, and so make sure that you're always feeding into that person and that voice and what they're telling you to do.
Great. How about you, Bon? Any advice to young creatives out there?
Just write, and draw. If you're an artist, draw. Just always bring your sketchbook with you, even if you're a writer. Just write something, because you don't know if an idea comes out there. And also, if you're starting out, just do zines first if you want. As a matter of fact, if you're already published, just still do zines. Because and I love zines. And also, what's this? If you don't force yourself to write like, I'm a Filipino, I should write some Filipino. No, you don't force yourself, because that's automatic. Even if you write science fiction or anything, that will come out. Even don't think of your style. Oh, I want to draw something. I don't want to draw manga. I want to draw a Filipino style. No, it will be automatic. Actually, your Filipino spirit will come out eventually. Even if whatever you do, it's like your DNA will come out.
And the Filipino DNA is very strong. Rita?
I totally agree with everybody, everything they said here. I was going to say that, yeah, keep drawing, because if you stop, you actually do forget how to draw. From my experience, I've actually forgotten how to draw, and it's just good to draw every day, even just something doodling on the bus. I just get that muscle memory to just figure out certain forms and so. And also just what Bong said, to make mini comics, because you create a body of work that way. You also that is a way to experiment with different styles. This is a different way to experiment with artistic and writing styles. And I mean, and you're pretty much it feels like you're writing for yourself, because that's mini comics is just it's self-published and you're doing it for you. But yeah, you grow a body of work by doing mini comics. You don't even realize it. You're whoa, I've done all these issues. But just finding inspiration, what Jay was saying, go look at movies, go look at other types of media, art media. Go to museums, go to find inspiration in other things other than comics. Yeah, I mean, just I come from that DIY school where it's you just kind of do what you want to do, and that's from the Los Hernandez brothers. Is they just wanted to draw about these punk girls that they knew, and they just started doing it, and now they're one of they're one of our biggest heroes in indie comics. So just start making comics. That's always been mine and a lot of my indie comic peers' advice, just to do it.
And last but not least, I'll just add on one commentary. You're never too young, never too old to go into a creative space. Waverly and I started this journey together, and who would have thought that almost 60-year-old person starts a comic book company? So never too young, never too old. The one thing is that what I love about coming to this particular event is the community. And we're here today for the community. We want to know, anybody here, does anyone have any questions for our panelists? And we'll go with the first hand that was raised. Sir.
How did Jose get his name?
Oh, God.
How did Jose get
Great
his
question.
name?
So when I was, my real name is Jose Ryan Redilla. So my dad got JR.
JR.
So Ryan, my dad got that name from Ryan O'Neal from Love Story. I was born in 1971. So yes, I'm old.
My mom would love that.
And so when I was being christened, my name is Ryan, right? Just Ryan. The priest was a Spaniard, a Spanish priest. And then he asked my dad and my mom, what's the boy's name? He's Ryan Riddle. And then the priest said, that's too American. Yeah, you should put a Spanish name there. So what? And so my dad eventually thought of Jose Rizal. So they got my name, Jose Rizal and Ryan O'Neal, mixed together.
If that's not the perfect example of the Filipino identity, then I don't know what is.
I'm not sure. It's a typical Filipino nickname. Every family has to have like Uncle Bong or Uncle Bobot. Or if every Filipino family has to have a nurse. and a karaoke.
Okay, anyone else in the audience? Any questions for our panelists? They're in the back with the glasses. Yes, that's you.
I stepped out for a moment to use the washroom, so I don't know if you said it already. Do you guys ever go back to the Philippines and trade stories with the community there? This is a massive comic book community in the Philippines, so have they saw your work and what was the response like?
That is such a good question. My mom and I, as soon as we started Cuento, for my graduation trip, we went to the Philippines, first time in my adult life, so it was such a magical experience, and I definitely recommend if you are a Filipino creator and you are creating, Filipino stories, highly recommend to go back. We were fortunate enough to do a signing event at Comic Odyssey, which is the big comic book store there out in Manila, and we were so blown away of the Filipino readers and that they were interested in a Phil-Am kind of perspective that's in our book, and so that was really exciting. Someone made the mask, a prop of the mask that's in the book called the Mask of Leah. Hello, and that absolutely blew my mind. So for me and my mom, we had people ask us this question. They go, well, are you trying to have an audience in America, Phil-Ams, or are you trying to have an audience in the Philippines? You can't have both. And that's what people told us in the Philippines. And we said, yes, we can. And that's exactly what we did. We figured out a way to get distribution in the comic book stores there, and now in Fully Booked, which is their Barnes & Noble version over there. So yes, very, very important. And us, along with our head writer, also took a research trip out there as well, because there is a lot of mythology. And I love that Bong mentioned that there is so much forgotten history that's been manipulated. And so it's really important when you're researching work like mythology, for instance, that has been, a lot of it's been stripped away because of colonization, that you go back and try to find really credible sources that can help you along. Of course, we give ourselves grace with the mythology as well. We take our inspiration, but we also pull from different regions in the Philippines as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's the comic book community there in the Philippines is so big. We have a lot of conventions there. We have Comic-Con, Comic-Cat, and PCOF and all those stuff. Mulak actually started in the Philippines before it was published by Fantagraphics in the US. So it won, the first Mulak won the National Book Awards there and for Best Graphic Novel, and the second book won the Gintong Aklat Awards and nominated for, what am I bragging about? But yeah, I went there in the Philippines and it was really, really big. The comic book community there is really big. So you guys should experience that.
Rena or Jay, trips to the Philippines?
I mean, I've been invited to go, and I'm like, and so, God, I just wish we could do virtual stuff. But
We can.
I
People
do
virtual.
Yeah, I mean, okay, we'll ask. But I love a lot of the cartoons. Like I met Bong through Jerry and Adam Sion, who lives in Japan, and we we were in an anthology together, a Pinoy, it was called Pinoy Anthology, it's a very, very creative title. And so I learned about other artists online, and that's sort of how I connect still, is through online, and they're like always just like, "Were you gonna come visit?" I'm like, "Yeah." So, but I always am. I don't know if anybody knows my stuff, because my stuff is very like about Pittsburgh, like the Steelers. So I don't know how much people in the Philippines. I mean, my family doesn't even really know that much about my work either, except my mom's Bible group.
Don't sleep on Pittsburgh.
They haven't paid for my work, but I don't have an answer to that. But anyway, I haven't been to the Philippines for comics.
Jay,
I was in
something.
Okay.
I'm sorry. If you guys wanna see some graphic novels from the Philippines, you guys should visit Hot Tropics and Tuttle. They have the table there.
absolutely.
Sorry.
For me, went there 2 years ago. It was a lot of great research, a lot of great inspiration. Went to Fully Booked, combed the sections, found all the Filipino created comic books. I was really surprised that, I would say 50-50. 50 were published in English, 50 were published in Tagalog, and then maybe there were other languages. This is one of those situations. Give me some help. I want to go and bring mass comics and the other comics I'm working on to the Philippines. So if anyone wants to help with that, I'd appreciate it. I'll pick everyone's brains around here.
Okay, we have 3 minutes. I'm actually going to try and be on time here.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Right down here.
Serena, you were talking about keeping that level of confidence, and Jay about collaboration. So when it comes to, do you create your own contracts, or for example, you're collaborating with a group of people. You have the artist, the visual artist, and you have the writer. And the goal, if you want to start a business and have to make some money off of what you're doing, do you have to make up your own contract, or does that go to a publisher and they have a contract?
Do you want me to answer? Okay. So I self-publish. I'm looking for a publisher. Hint. Anyone? Okay. The majority of my work is self-published, and I do work for hire agreements. I make sure that all the artists I work with are paid. And then in the agreement, if we make over expenses, they get a little bit more that way. They also get a number of books, and then they can purchase books from me for 50% off or something like that. I think that I'm at an age where I want to try and support artists as much as humanly possible. So I don't believe in, you'll do it for the portfolio. No. I want to pay them to do the artwork as much as I can. And then make sure we have a work for hire agreement. I don't know how much it would hold up in court, but we have a pretty clear agreement on who owns it and everything like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna add. What we did at Cuento is we created a LLC, a limited liability company, and then from there, everybody on the team, writers, artists, they all get their own contract. Which does include a work for hire. So although IP is owned by the company, but we do our best. We pay market rates, indie market rates, U.S. dollars, but to the artists and the writers in the Philippines. So that's really important for us. And then we got one more minute left. Oh, yes, go.
I just had a comment. I just wanted to say that I heard about Cuento Comics from a podcast called Stories with Sapphire, and I've always been so interested in your story. But as somebody who's lived here in San Francisco, as much time as I've lived in the Philippines, I kind of lost my culture. I don't have a Filipino community here, and so I'm not able to share Filipino food with my son, or the language, or religion. I kind of lost the religion of my childhood, but the stories that you guys share with the mythology, it's something, and my son loves reading, and so I feel like this is something that I can share with my son. And so I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. That absolutely meant the world, and I know it means the world to all of us here on this stage, to all of y'all for coming today.
Thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate it. Thank you for all the support. On the screen, you'll see QR codes or websites. Please like, share on social media, buy our booth, buy our books, buy, Pinoy writers, authors, creators, and support the community. Thank you very much. Oh, yes, if anybody is here and have our books, we are going to be signing outside in the lobby right after this panel.